Hi everyone, it's Michael Citron with the Citron Real Estate Group coming to you from another one of our Ask Michael Monday episodes. This is episode 37. I'm happy to have Diego Pfeiffer on our crazy show that we're hosting here. Diego, if you don't know, is running for Parkland Commissioner, District 2. So I wanted to jump right in and ask...
Well, I'll start for a second, Michael. Thank you so much for having me here, and honestly, thank you for everything that you're doing. Right now, more than ever, our city needs a news source and needs somebody to go out and tell them who their elected officials are, who they're voting for. And right now, in America, in Parkland especially, we need people like you. So thank you for putting your free time doing everything here.
I think it's great that we're able to have this, hyper-local city that we can, have a little bit of information on you and the other candidate. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you coming on. So first question, why are you running for commissioner?
Well, Michael, there are 5 commissioners on that board right now, and all 5 of them are parents.
Sure.
And all 5 of them are also business owners, and they do their job exceptionally well. But right now, with Parkland in the states that it is in, facing everything that it is right now, Parkland needs a little bit of a shakeup. It needs somebody to represent the youth of this city. And I want to ask for one of those 5 seats to be able to do that.
Sure.
I think that the students have risen. I think that they are making what they want known to not only Parkland, but all of America. And I'm hoping to go out and represent them. I hope them to be my constituents.
Great. And we talked earlier, I met Jared Moskowitz. He was a Parkland commissioner at age 26. You're 18. And he is now a Florida House of Representative. What are your thoughts on your age running for this position?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Jared Moskowitz is a bit of an inspiration of mine. And he went towards this path before anybody knew who he was, before age was like a big restriction on that sort of thing. And I think that he paved it well for me. I'm incredibly happy that he did. And I think that he is a big representation of how we can look past age and we can look past anything like that. It's not in age that you should be judging somebody. It's in their character. Sure. It's in their talking abilities. It's in what they are willing to represent and how they're willing to represent it. So I think my age is not a detriment. I think that I can serve the city now better than I can in 10 years.
Sure. You will be a young guy still. What experience do you have that qualifies you for this position? And that's what people are asking. Obviously, you're a young guy. I'm sure Jared had the same thing when he was running years ago. Mm-hmm. What qualifies you for the position at your age?
Well, I think that at my age, I have a different experience of the city than, say, you might.
Sure.
I think that I'm Parkland grown. I grew up here in Parkland. I didn't watch people go to. I went to the elementary school, the middle school, the high school. I spoke with those students. I know all of those teachers. I have all of those connections. It's a different type of experience when you've grown up in the city, when you've lived there for 9 years.
Sure. What are your thoughts on school safety? Obviously, you're a survivor of the school shooting. Obviously, it's going to be a big change for our city, for the schools, for the overall city. What are your thoughts on school safety overall moving forward if you become a commissioner?
Well, as I'm sure my opponent stated as well, there are plans in place to figure out exactly what the city might need from our safety-wise. The survey that is taking place is supposed to determine what our city needs and what our city expects from the different services provided by them to keep them safe. Now, as to whatever that survey comes out, I'm excited to see the results, but I will tell you that change is needed. What happened on February 14th was unacceptable, and something needs to change. It's obvious.
Obviously, we've seen, as we talked earlier, that on Twitter and social media posts that the schools are already implementing changes for the coming school year. We saw that taking place. I think I even saw it as recently as a couple of days ago. Yes. Metal detectors, other things that will happen. So we will see change. But the question I asked your running mate Do you think Parkland should contract with another police department, such as Coral Springs or Coconut Creek, as opposed to signing up again with the Broward Sheriff's Office to run our city? What are your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people in the city think that we should go with another avenue because of the failures of the sheriff and his office.
Of course. Well, I will say that survey is going to be instrumental in deciding what we will be figuring out. I will also say that I've heard many qualms about who those special enforcers are on those schools. A lot of them were given those jobs because it was deemed cushy, or that Parkland would not run into any sort of problems, and thus we saw what we did on February 11th. Now, but to backtrack a little bit on what you were talking about, how the schools are implementing their own ideals and their measures to keep kids safe, my hope is to give the kids their voice in that too, because what people forget is that it's their children, it's those children that are feeling the direct effects of these, whose schooling, whose education will be called into question because of these things that are going to be coming up. The idea for me to run is definitely to give them that voice, to show the families, to show those children that their voice is needed in these decisions.
Absolutely. Where do you see the most change needed in our city? Obviously, school safety. What other means, do you see that needs to be changed in our city, or things that need to be looked at as we, get into, the next school year?
Of course. Well, school safety is obviously the big prime example of what needs to change here in the city. But if I were to choose one other little piece, it would be our parks. I think that these students, these youthful leaders, have a lot of great ideas for our parks and our recreational centers that aren't being heard because they're deemed children. Now, my hope is to talk with them. I'm sure, when you go to a park, when was the last time you had a concession stand? Or when you went there, there are certain ways that we could be creating and moving around these parks and scheduling them that the main constituents of those parks will be most knowledgeable about. And those main constituents are the youth, are the children, are the kids that use those fields. Sure. I think that they would also have a big voice in what happens in Parkland.
Sure, it's called Parkland. People don't remember that. Final question. Shoot me 3 reasons why residents should vote for you. Quickly, 3. Look in the camera, tell them why they should vote for you. 3 reasons to vote.
I'm here to represent your kids. I'm here to make sure they are safe. And I only want 1 out of those 5 chairs. We need change.
It's great. Pretty direct. If you want to know more about Diego, you can go to his campaign on Facebook. It's Diego Pfeiffer for Parkland Commissioner. Is that what it is?
Exactly what it is.
You can look up his page. You can friend request him on Facebook, which we did, and got a lot of information on you. I've talked a little bit about you. Diego's a really smart guy, has a lot of knowledge and a lot of information, and I was impressed. So I appreciate you coming on. Guys, thank you so much. If you guys have any other questions for Diego, you can certainly hit us up here.
Please.
And I hope you guys have a good night and spend it with your family. Take care.